And also a very special day. It's 3 years to the day
Yep.
today since we delivered their first aircraft. So
November 28th.
yes.
Good timing.
Good timing, yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
What a plan, huh?
Love it when it works out.
And the other, I guess, of course, key milestones, which really changed the industry and, of course, had a huge impact on the program, was really the announcement of Airbus and Bombardier that Airbus will be taking a majority stake in the C-Series. And, of course, that was closed on July 1st of 2018. And it's been, honestly, a huge change in momentum since that happened, and we'll go through some of those details today. And of course, we renamed and rebranded the C-Series to the A220 on July 10th, so shortly after. So again, today's special day, 3 years after, and we're of course, in addition, celebrating the 100th aircraft. So a fantastic journey. Personally, I'm really proud. As you know, developing aircraft is always very challenging. Including the ramp up that Florent will talk about. But to be where we are now for me is a fantastic situation. And I really know now that I always knew, but now it's really confirmed we're going to have a hugely successful program with a new partnership. A little bit about the customer. So it's a diverse customer base, which is important because we'd like to place the aircraft in all those customer types. We have 530 firm orders and over 20 customers. You'll see, because of flexibility of the aircraft, we're able to really serve all the different customers, which is important for the program and the product. And I'm going to go through some of the specifics, but here you see some of the key customers, of course, as we know well, Swiss, Korean, Air Canada, which is taking their delivery later this year. Egypt Air and Delta, of course, the largest order we've had to date.
Can we ask questions now?
Sure.
Macquarie still is a customer?
Yes, they're still formally a customer on the program.
But some of the other companies, LCI, they've gone away?
On LCI, they're still also a formal customer. We haven't put them here. So they are formally in the program. But really, we haven't, of course, said any specific, or neither have they on their plans for the program.
And Moxie's not here because?
They're actually on the program.
Yeah.
And the name Moxie was what came out publicly, but they're still working on the final name for their airline. Yeah, but it's a firm order with us. Yeah. So this is really real data on the momentum since basically since Airbus joined the program, we have actually over 300 commitments that happened. And just this year alone, we have over 170 commitments from 7 new customers. And also important, it's 3 repeat orders. And that's also very significant because it really demonstrates their satisfaction with the aircraft and the belief in what the aircraft can do for them. So Delta, of course, has increased their order by 5 aircraft. JetBlue don't have the aircraft yet, but increased their order by 10 aircraft. And of course, Air Baltic did 2 repeats since their original order. So there's great indications that people that order do repeat orders, and it's very rewarding. I think we'll talk, so you see also some very big names in there. We'll talk about Air France in a minute. And we also had Air Lease, which of course is huge for us. So they ordered 50 aircraft, and we have also NEC that have a commitment for 20 aircraft. Particularly Air France, I can clearly tell you this would never have happened without Airbus. They are a long-time Airbus customer, and really, as you know, their plan is to simplify their fleet, and basically for operating cost, environmental impact, and simplification of the fleet, they've committed, and we have an MOU, as you know well, for 60 aircraft. So for me, that's wow, what a fantastic achievement.
It's helpful to have a Canadian working there.
It also helps, yes.
Frequent buyer club.
Yes. Of course, it was helpful, and as you know, Ben Smith was at Air Canada before, and I was at Air France, so he knew their product well, so that was also helpful. So a little bit about the aircraft and the flexibility. and of course the profitability that it brings to our customers. So one of the key things, of course, as we know, the operating costs are 20% lower, fuel burn 20% lower. As you know, our customers even publicly state that their fuel burn is actually even better, they're experiencing than what we marketed. Air Baltic in particular quotes a number of 24%. And that's really great to see the performance in service. And of course, that's very helpful for additional orders.
Sorry, Rob, 24% with Air Baltic, is it an average or these are the best, the longest routes?
So I would refer to Air Baltic, but they claim that on average.
On average?
You can talk to Martin today. So one of the key things aircraft offers is, of course, short range capability with exceptional performance, but also gives the ability of long range. So when they started originally in service, the majority of, especially European customers, were starting with quite short range routes. That was their plans. But now they have the aircraft and they see the capability. So you can see Air Baltic in particular is doing up to 6.5 hour routes, Riga Abu Dhabi route in particular. But you also see even Swiss stretching the legs and capability of the aircraft. Korean also started locally, you see on the right, flying within basically Korea and Japan, and now they're doing much longer range routes as well. And of course you can see on the bottom the long routes from Air Tanzania, that they're also doing routes approaching 6 hours. And by the way, they started doing the first ETOPS routes as well. Of course, the most recent customer in service, you see Delta, where they're basically serving all the U.S. and it's very, let's say, extended network, and they're positioning it in various outstations within the U.S.
Is that a flight from Portland to Fairbanks?
Yes.
How long is that leg?
Just under 6 hours.
So several of your customers are now playing with 6 hour segments?
Yes. 3 in particular.
Three.
So you have Tanzania, Air Baltic, and Delta.
And Swiss as well, to Norway? Or?
Yeah, Swiss, you're right, thank you, has one route.
Ron,
I'm going to talk a little bit more about the extra range as well.
when Air Canada puts theirs into service Montreal, Seattle, Toronto, San Jose, what stage length are they looking at for that? Do you know? Is that fine?
It's going to be around just under 6 hours.
Just under so
Right.
right out of the chute.
Right,
Six hours.
right. And the aircraft has close to, right now, 7 hour capability. They're flying 6.5 as a max. I think 6:35 is the longest block time we've seen.
So like right now 7:15 with reserve.
Roughly, yeah. And of course, we'll talk in a few minutes about the extra capacity that's going to keep
Of course, questions.
Yes, no, it's good. So, of course, important is, especially with Airbus in particular, their commitment to the program and the continued investment that we're doing on the program. So I won't go through the previous milestones we've met. You can see them clearly on the slide. We have the dual aft lavatory, which is being certified this year, and that provides a more flexibility for the customers. And also we have the increase in the maximum capacity with a single pair of overwings. Currently we're limited to 145 seats, and we'll be going to 149 seats early in 2020. And more recently, we announced earlier this year the maximum takeoff weight improvement for both the Dash 100 and the Dash 300. And also today, a really new announcement for us is we're also increasing the max zero fuel weight and max landing weight. And I'll talk about that in a few minutes on the next slide, the details. And all of this, of course, is customer driven. And basically, the aircraft has the capability actually already built into the aircraft. So really, this is just a certification exercise that we have to go through, and that'll be available in end of 2020.
This FAA certification, or is it European as well?
For us, we start with Transport Canada,
Okay.
but we'll certify with all the major authorities, so FAA, EASA.
Not much of a delay after that, or?
No, it's usually done very much in sequence.
Okay.
Right. I mean,
Rob, these improvements were baked into the original airplane. This is not an Airbus-driven improvement.
So the aircraft had the capability, and of course, we really do things that are customer-driven. So we had the capability built into the aircraft, but really it was customer request asking us to improve the range, increase the range, give more flexibility. And of course, Airbus is really, it's a key part of the single-aisle family, so they're really pushing and supporting on the investment side.
So when you talk about 7 hours maximum range, is that the new longer range?
No, that's the existing.
So what will the new longer range, how many hours will you have?
Roughly an hour increase,
Wow.
From 6, so
8
7
hours?
to 8 hours.
approximately, yeah. And I'll talk about it in the next slide, and the ranges.
Okay, yeah.
So Air Canada delivery later this year, which is also great to have the first Canadian operator. And of course we have Air Vanuatu, Air Austral, and JetBlue going forward. So really a lot of momentum. There's also a lot of sales campaigns going on, particularly since Airbus joined. So really fantastic time for us. So more specifically now about the range performance. So I'll start on the middle CC. We're adding 5,000 pounds max takeoff weight for both the Dash 100 and the Dash 300. And basically that adds up to 450 nautical miles, which really is approximately an hour, 1 hour flight. Now today we're also announcing the increase to the max zero fuel weight and max landing weight by 4,000 pounds. And really what that does is, in addition to the max range, we can also have more payload on the aircraft as well. So, and again, these are all customer driven, and we have already committed this to a number of customers.
Just Rob, because Howard was asking if this particular announcement was under embargo. So this is not part of the press release going out tomorrow, so I mean that is okay. What is under embargo is everything related to the celebration today. Okay.
Thank you.
Super, I didn't hear your question, Howard, sorry.
No, I was just
No, he was
asking.
asking.
That's news,
Okay.
that is not under embargo.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Okay, that's fine.
news for you guys.
So now talking more in service. So we talk a lot, of course, about the fuel burn, the range, the cabin comfort, but also a key part of the program was really on reducing the maintenance costs and also the out-of-time service for the aircraft. So just to remind everybody, there are no daily checks required on the A220. Typically, checks are done in the 10-day range, and it's all on indication, which is unique in the industry. On the A-checks, of course, they're currently at 850 hours, and basically we've done 325 of those A-checks, and they're done in a period of 3 hours, so very much in a short overnight, and it takes between 10 and 15 man-hours to do the A-checks. And now we've also, sorry, go ahead.
That's a silly question. Those checks are performed by airline employees. They're not Airbus reps. But these
They're
are
done by-
trained airline employees.
Yes,
Okay.
the airline employees are qualified and they do their own A-checks.
Just want to make at this stage in the airplane's life whether that's okay.
Yeah,
Great.
so they're already qualified since the beginning and they conduct them themselves.
Thank you.
We did participate in the early ones just to
Yeah.
confirm and validate the tasks and also the time consumptions, but since the very first few ones, they're doing them fully on their own.
Great.
Honestly.
Rob, since the beginning of the operation of the E220, you did a lot more engine change than expected. What about the time to do the engine change? You see, is it going down? What would be the average time?
Sure, that's a good question. So by the way, this is the planned maintenance task. The engine changes were not planned since the beginning. So really they're doing them now and basically down as low as 12 hours. On average, they're between 12 and 18 hours to do the engine change. Okay, so it's quite efficient. And of course, there have been a lot of improvements on the engines. The maturity and the time on wing is improving. But yeah, Baltic did quote that they did about 50 engine changes. But we see that really stabilizing now as
And you mean 12 hours, man hours, not total?
No, it's cycle time.
Cycle
time hours, yeah.
And just going back to that last slide, so now with the maximum landing weight, you're able to tanker more fuel on board, and your range or your duration is now an 8-hour flight?
Approximately, yes.
Approximately 8-hour flight.
This is by mid-2020, next year.
By the end of 2020.
End.
End of 2020. And we're doing it for both the Dash 100 and Dash 300.
Yeah, thank you. That's my next question.
So more importantly also, we've completed the 5 C checks. So those are at 8,500 hours, and those have gone basically in on average in 2.5 days. And just so you know, a typical aircraft, new aircraft would do this between 5 and 7 days. So again, this is cut by approximately 50%.
And about C-checks, one in Riga and for...
Air Baltic was doing those with one of our MROs, with Samco. And basically, now they're doing them themselves. And Swiss started also with Samco. But Air Baltic now is doing their own within Riga. So now this is also new news. So we are going to increase both the A checks and the C checks from 850 to 1,000. And the plan is to do that by end of 2021. And basically, that's based on the good in-service experience that we've had, and the fact that the aircraft is performing very well. So it's going to further improve the operability and lower further the maintenance cost and out of service time. So that's going to happen really within essentially 3 years after the entry into service, which is fantastic. And again, every structural checks are at 12 years. So honestly, aircraft's performing well in service, and the costs are actually better than what we marketed and publicized to the customers. This is one of the other advantages of joining the Airbus is we leverage essentially all the network that Airbus has. So you can see, I won't go through all the details, but where we have our simulators, where we have the customer simulators, where the training takes place, where the customer support centers are, and of course where the Venus training is, the MRO centers, and the FHS is the flight hour services pool where they're based around the world. So again, this is, and particularly for our customers, this was something that was always really demanded by them to have this footprint. And now that we joined the Airbus team, we have this available to the program, which is fantastic. So that was really a quick program update from my side, and development updates and in service. So if there are no other questions, then we'll pass over.
I have one more. Sure. I'm a little bit confused about the changes in the range that we're now going from, last year you announced the first bump in range because of the maximum
Takeoff weight
increase. We have another bump? We're going up
No, it's the same bump.
Oh, it's the same
Yeah,
bump.
the max takeoff weight is what we announced earlier,
Okay.
last year.
Okay.
This is really now that we're increasing the max zero fuel weight, max landing weight, in
Okay.
addition to the
In
max
addition
takeoff.
to
But
giving the
the max takeoff weight is the same as last year.
Okay,
Right.
that's fine. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
So next